Carm Capriato, the Service Aftermarkets podcast pioneer with the gold standard of aftermarket business podcasts. Join me for Aftermarket Insights as we advance the aftermarket. And as always, know that you'll learn just one thing. Find us on your favorite podcast listening app and remarkableresults.biz or on my YouTube channel. Hey everybody, Carm Capriato, good to have you here. Remarkable Results Radio. I'm so pumped up at this time of the year because, AAPEX is in the works and we've probably already been there and come back. Of course, we've released our 1000th Remarkable Results episode. Couldn't have done it without you, who comes by and hangs out and pulls all the great wisdom and ideas and insights that we produce for you each and every week, not only on Remarkable Results Radio and all of our affiliated shows, but the Aftermarket Radio Network group, where Matt Fonslow and Hunt Demarest and Kim and Brian Walker and Chris Cotton and Greg O'Neill are all part of. So glad and proud to have them all here. I got a great show for you today. I'm with Austin Rexinger. Hello, Austin. How are you?
I'm very good. Thanks for having me, Carl.
All right. Austin is with Hunter Engineering. He's a business consultant here in Western New York. I saw him actually make a small presentation at one of our local networking meetings, and I said, he's a pretty smart kid. Got to come on and let's talk about equipment.
That's going on a year now. I think we met last fall. Here we are. We made it happen. So I'm glad to be here.
We finally made it happen. It's so interesting about you and all the cool stuff that's going on in your world. But part of what I want to understand is, what's going on with tire changers and wheel alignments and what's going on with training and what are people buying. I mean, this time of the year, if there's enough profits in the company and they want to spend some of their money to upgrade the things that, will make them a more efficient shop. What are people buying? But I found out something about you that you love to race cars, a driver, right?
I do. I consider myself an amateur still. I'm working my way up in, the ranks in terms of racing series, but I started back, 7-8 years ago, just doing autocross, some basic go-karting, things like that. Really got the itch. It's a slippery slope, the racing world is, for sure. Started spectating at Watkins Glen the year after I graduated high school. My friends and I took a trip for the IMSA racing for sports cars. You see all the Porsches and Ferraris and everything. And I was there for, 15 minutes. And I said, I got to drive on this track. This is the coolest thing. And growing up in Buffalo, it took me, almost 18 years of my life to get to Watkins Glen. And it's right around the corner from us, really. And I, said, hey, I got to drive on this track. And made it a goal of mine. And a few years later, I was there with a team racing in the Champ Car Series. So we run endurance racing at Watkins Glen. So throughout the course of a weekend, we'll have a practice session on a Friday, and then typically a 7 or 8 hour race on Saturday, and then the same thing on Sunday. So it is quite a mental and physical challenge, even on an amateur level. But when there's 70, 80, 90 cars going around the track at the same time, it is quite the challenge. And I always look forward to the next one and trying to keep furthering my racing career in a sense.
Well, thank you so much for the update. Maybe we'll hear a little bit more about that later in the show. But I have a question about, I'm ready, I'm a shop owner, I want to evaluate an equipment upgrade. And, maybe I can buy it on terms, I get all that. And I've had a very successful shop. I've got a couple of profit dollars ahead because that's what you use profit for. What are they asking questions about? I mean, the evaluation of equipment upgrade, does somebody come to you and says, Austin, I think I want to upgrade my alignment machine, or are you out there pounding on doors saying, I think you need to upgrade your alignment equipment? What's the percentage of that?
It's a good mix of both. And what I've been trying to do in the last 14, 15 months that I've been with Hunter, I've been trying to not only establish new business with new clients by knocking on doors, by walking in shops, but also reaching out to our existing customers. And the thing with Hunter is once you know our equipment, once you've used our equipment, it's difficult to go back because it truly is that good. So when we reach out to our existing customers and kind of see, hey, how's your experience been up to this point? Maybe you're working with something a little bit older, some of our legacy equipment. Let's consider the benefits and the features of our newer equipment and how that would improve your overall efficiency in the shop and the ability to perform the best work on the newest vehicles.
What are you seeing as far as an age of equipment that people are tire changers, balancers, alignment machines? I can't quite say ADAS yet because we're still too young in that thing.
Yep.
Is it 10, 12, 15 years old? What do you see?
It's a very wide range depending on what equipment we're talking about. Some of our tire changers last very, very long. Our alignment racks specifically, they're really, really tough, made of, really strong, thick steel here in the US. And what we tend to see a lot of times, and what I have a lot of joking conversations with shop owners and the techs is, hey, I'd be happy to sell you an alignment rack, but I'm probably never going to sell you one again because that's how long they last. And so I tend to see alignment racks in the 10, 12, 15-year range that are still going strong. And while it sometimes warrants a replacement or an upgrade, sometimes that's not the case if these shop owners really take good care of them. And the same thing can be said for our changers, balancers, things like that. When you get into technology there, we have certainly come a long way in the last number of years in terms of trying to best be able to work with newer vehicles. So we want to always be on the cutting edge of that equipment. But, if you take care of your equipment and keep it clean and you really, care for it, you can see tire changers lasting upwards of 10 years. And, at that 10-year mark, we start to have conversations about, hey, what are our expectations moving forward, and consider upgrades and things like that.
Yeah, but there's an awful lot of new tech that's being built into every piece of equipment today. I mean, look at the wheels and the tires that we're dealing with and the size of them, some of the weight of them, that a 10-year-old tire changer may not necessarily perform as well. Great machine, I get that. And are the shop owners wanting to move because it's easier, it's smarter, there's less risk of damage? What are the reasons that you'd want to move into something?
Carm, it's all of those things. With newer vehicles, as you mentioned, the wheels aren't getting any smaller and they're certainly not getting any lighter. So things like wheel lifts, we have the ability to add a wheel lift onto our tire changers. Not only does it protect the customer's investment on their, wheel set, but also it protects the back of the technician that's actually going to be changing the tire. Things like that, wheel lifts are not new per se, but the design of these new wheels, we're talking about leverless tire changers now. So rather than using a traditional metal tire bar and having the risk of damaging these new, large, expensive, high-end wheels, rather than doing that, let's use a polymer tool head and avoid all of that potential risk when operating on our customers, valuable wheels.
Yeah. I got a question for you, which is a curious question. I remember being out at some of the skilled trade centers in Western New York. We call them BOCES here. That's the acronym for it. And I was at Putter Road last week. Mm-hmm. We were at Kenton a few months back. We've done videos on both of these visits. And they've got road force balancers inside of these automotive shops. And then you go out to a shop and you won't see a road force balancer, but these young 16, 17-year-old future automotive mechanical or technology specialists are using a road force balancer. Does that piece of equipment sell in the independent world?
It definitely does. And, what I have to do as a business consultant is educate on the benefits of road force balancing. So I will use this term cautiously, but I think these kids are spoiled with the equipment that they get to work on. I am jealous.
They may not necessarily know that they are, right? In fact, we got to go out and tell them, do you know that you're dealing with, and what's really amazing, and I mean to go off into a rabbit hole here, is that there's the money out there to do this. Or are you putting it there just so that you've got placement?
It's a little bit of both. So I think that what's really cool for a lot of these schools in the high school level, and then even, where we met over at the ECC campus, utilizing technology that you will then go see in the field as a tech. It's a really good way to set these young technicians up for success where they're familiar with our equipment. And when they're going and looking for positions, they're looking not only for how is the demeanor of the person I'm going to be working on, and what are the benefits, and do I get healthcare and this or that? but also what's the actual equipment that I'm going to be working on every day, because that's what is going to really, at the end of the day, when you're tired and it's been a long day, how was my day spent? Was it spent working on old tired equipment, or was it spent working with the latest and greatest from Hunter Engineering that I am familiar with because I used it at BOCES or at ECC or wherever I was, in school?
Let's talk about continuing education. I'm such a big fan. I'm trying to change the language of the industry, a big proponent of so many shifts in languages. And one of them is get rid of the word training and change it for education, because that's exactly what we ultimately end up when we do any kind of training. If I bought a brand new piece of equipment and say it's at the 8S or it's, really the latest piece of alignment equipment, do I get a chance to go to a Hunter training center? Does someone come to me? How am I going to take and justify all the new tech methodology inside of that piece of equipment and really use it for its max capacity? How do I learn?
There's a lot of different ways that we can go about that. And certainly it is an investment. The cost is not insignificant. And we understand that. And we understand that what it takes to purchase, the latest, the greatest. And so what we can provide from a local level is myself and my service technician. We will come out, we will help educate or train, whichever term you prefer, and help with the operational training of the machine that you purchase. And what we can also do on a regional level is we can have our regional trainer come out and train the shop owner, the technicians, whoever is going to be using the technology on a day-to-day basis, and really get nitty-gritty in a dual setting, so a classroom in the shop itself. And so we really pride ourselves on the ability to do that from a regional level or from a local level. We also have a online learning system as well. So if you purchase a aligner system currently, you will receive credits to be able to do some online education as well. And we really are encouraging that right now, because what you can do is, when you're onboarding, for example, hey, we're going to onboard this new employee. We'd like them to take a basic intro to alignment course online as part of their, they got to do their OSHA training anyway, or they got to do their HR or whatever other things that they are required to do before they're allowed to go and work in the shop. Let's add that to the list to make sure that they're up to speed from the basics of alignment all the way up to some advanced procedures as well.
AAPEX 2024, one of the best industry training and expo events, is now in the record books. Joe's Garage at AAPEX brought the best and the brightest together to create an interactive experience like no other. The concentration on emerging technology was cutting edge, along with the latest in tools and equipment that bring efficiencies to your shop, which is another reason to attend AAPEX. There were more than 60 training sessions for technical, business management, and HR. You participated in the EV experience stage at Joe's Garage along with ADAS technology. If you did not attend, I bet you wished you had. AAPEX created specialty sections to make it super easy to find your area of interest, like the tire service section, tools and equipment, the diagnostics telematics shop, and of course the EV experience. New in 2024 was the student competition on an engine build, and features inside of Joe's Garage were from Autel, BG Products, NAPA, Hunter Engineering, Bosch, Repairify Coats, and Solid Start, among others. Mark your calendar for AAPEX 2025, November 4th through the 6th in Las Vegas. Listen here to learn about exciting events planned for 2025 and when you can start registering. Hey, let's face it, your shop management system is the single most important tool in your shop, period. NAPA Trax has made selecting the right shop management system easy by offering the industry's best, most comprehensive SMS. Now, it all starts when a local representative meets with you to learn about your business and how you need to run it. After all, it's your shop, so it's your choice, and having local representation is a huge plus. Customizing Trax to your business, whether you're a one-person shop or a large multi-bay or multi-location company, a representative consults with you to help optimize your shop's workflow, efficiency, and profitability. Trax always has the flexibility to do business how you need to do it, which means it can also grow as your business grows. And unlike the other guys, we'll be there for you after installation with the best training and support in the business. Yes, a learning management system tailored to each role in your company. Simply put, Trax was designed and built for shop owners just like you. Visit us on the web at NAPA Trax, that's NAPATRACS.com. Hey, ever wonder how your labor rate compares to your market and state? You now have a site where you can confidentially upload your rate and see other labor rates published in your market. LaborRateTracker.com is an important site to know about. Currently, the database has over 1,000 shops participating and growing every day. But there's more to setting your rates than finding out what others charge. You should look at the labor rates in your state and town to gain a complete picture of the labor rate landscape. Hey, it's easy. Get market intelligence like never before at LaborRateTracker.com. In my mind, you just broke a tremendous code for any shop owner who is bringing on anyone new, is to have a list of, if you will, assessments and or / training on all the equipment. And it doesn't matter if it's a handheld piece of high-tech tabletry. Let me see, look that word up, tabletry. I don't even know if that's the right word. But yeah, evaluation of everything. That's a great thought. Online, I mean, I could probably go online tomorrow and say I need to buy something and buy something online. Is there enough information out there for any professional shop owner to make an intelligent decision on buying a piece of equipment online?
In this day and age, and I'm guilty of doing some late night Amazon shopping myself, but it's very easy to go and just click add to cart and say, all right, well, looks pretty cool. Brochure, whatever pictures we see. Yeah. All right. This seems good enough. Okay.
But are people buying $10,000 pieces of equipment online?
So I can tell you, in my short stint with Hunter, it's been a little bit over a year, I have had one particular case that I always love to tell the story. I met a now customer of mine in the checkout aisle of Harbor Freight, and he was there to pick up some hand tools. But I overheard him complaining to the cashier about a tire changer that he had purchased, and it had been giving him all kinds of trouble, and he was getting really frustrated. I remember the cashier saying something to the extent of, "Oh, I think in aisle 7 we have tire changer or something." He's like, "No, not like for my lawnmower. I need like for passenger vehicles." And she's like, "Oh yeah, no, we don't have that." He completed his transaction. I went, "Hey, not for nothing, if you look out in the parking lot, there's the Hunter truck. Not sure if you're familiar with Hunter." And he kind of cut me off and he goes, "Well, listen, man, I would love a Hunter. I just can't afford it. And, they're just the best, but I just can't do it." And I'm like, "Hey, that's cool, man. Here's my info. We'll catch up." I can't make this up. The very next day he calls me. He's in a panic. "Austin, this tire changer I bought online, the arm just snapped. I got 7 tires here. I changed 1 and I got 2 sets that I need by the end of the day." And I said, "Okay, I'll be right there. I'm on my way." We ended up changing some tires on my truck with my demo equipment, and we were able to get his customers, back on the road and going. And the reason I tell this whole story is because he bought a tire changer online. I don't remember exactly what he paid for it, but it was under $10,000 and, looked really nice, genuinely. And I'm saying that as, this is our competition. Looked very nice. Did it operate well? No, it didn't. That is, unfortunately, for the consumer, what we're seeing a lot of, in the pictures, they look great. When they show up, they look great. They're shiny. The paint's nice, cool. That's all well and good. But when it comes to how long are they going to last, are they going to be operationally a quality piece of equipment? Well, unfortunately, we're seeing that isn't the case.
Austin, where's wheel alignment heading? I guess part of my curiosity is more and more shops realize that they must be selling tires. If they move into that direction, do they have to evaluate the alignment equipment that they have? And can they get into the tire business even though they may have a 10 or a 12-year-old piece of equipment?
A lot of shops that are primarily tire shops are not in the alignment business. And again, that is part of my job to educate the benefits of adding alignments to your list of services that you offer. So sure, can you slap 2 tires on or 4 tires on, whatever the customer needs, and send them on their way? Well, yeah, you can, but to protect not only yourself, but the customer's investment. Tires are not inexpensive. Sure, can you find cheap tires? Well, sure you can, but it is, in my experience, a direct relationship between the more I spend, the better tires I get typically. So yes, if you want to throw a set of tires on and go down the road, sure, that's perfectly fine. And I'm not the tire police, and you can certainly do that. But if you want to protect the investment that you've just made in the 5, 6, 7, 8, over $1,000 a lot of times on a set of 4 tires, well, yes, your best practice, your best circumstance would be to then perform a 4-wheel alignment and get your car riding down the road straight to make those tires last as long as possible, and also, protect you and your occupants in the vehicle from a safety perspective.
Is part of the issue that they're not doing alignments is that they're concerned with an ADAS issue?
ADAS is, you're opening up a can of worms for sure.
I know that. And I don't mean to go down that rabbit hole at all on this episode with you, but I'm just trying to help understand. And I've heard a little bit about this. They're not going to do the alignments because they know if they put the car off and it is an ADAS equipped car and they may have some, recalibration to do, that they just don't want to be part of that. They don't even want to feel guilty about not doing it. And I don't know where I'm going with this, but I'm hearing stuff and I'm trying to figure it out.
It's something that comes up a lot in conversation when I'm in shops. And I guess to rewind, I like to think that your listeners are very educated, but ADAS is Advanced Driver Assistance System. And that's your blind spot monitor, your pre-collision, your adaptive cruise control, which everyone loves, so that you can do things that you shouldn't do while you're driving and all that fun stuff. But those systems, while they are very good in the sense that they keep us on the road, they keep us in the lane, those do fundamentally play into vehicle alignment, because if we think about a camera system that is 1 to 2 to 5 millimeters off in terms of its positioning on, let's say, the windshield, well, if it's off 5 millimeters at the windshield from where it should be positioned, now go 1,000, 2,000, 300, 3,000 feet down the road where the camera is actually looking, and now you're off by much more than 5 millimeters. You're off by inches or feet, and that can certainly play into the functionality of those ADAS systems. And what we have the ability to do with our Hunter equipment is to set up the technician to be able to properly reset those systems or realign those systems according to the OEM, to make sure that, after we perform a vehicle alignment or after we add tires and then perform a vehicle alignment, that all of those systems are communicating with themselves or with the car in order to best operate how they were intended from the factory when the car was purchased.
It seems to me that an alignment and ADAS combination is the coolest thing to have.
And it would seem to me that that is very true, because that is what Hunter prioritized last year, and it is still sort of in its infancy, which we are calling Ultimate ADAS. And what we are able to do is combine our aligner system with a ADAS reset system. And does the Ultimate ADAS reset the ADAS for you? No, it doesn't. But what it does is it makes the entire process, and for those of you, the listeners who are familiar with the process, right now, a lot of times it's get out your blue painter's tape, get out your string and plumb bobs and measuring tapes. And it is a very, very, very time consuming and tired process that if you miss a step or make a mistake, now you're starting over, and it's very frustrating. But what we can do with our lasers and cameras and a lot of things that are much beyond my understanding is at least get you to the point where you can have the vehicle in the correct position to then plug in your OBD, your scan tool, and go in and communicate with those systems. So we can get the vehicle positioned correctly in space, in your shop space or wherever you're working, to then be able to go and make those adjustments.
Fascinating stuff. Thank you. So you have a journalism degree. That's so cool. I found out. You also kind of helped manage a pre-owned inventory of 50 luxury cars. What the heck was that all about?
Yeah, so I was working with a local dealership prior to being with Hunter. I've been a car enthusiast since I was a kid, had the opportunity to drive some really cool stuff, which was a lot of fun. And we're still
Which was
doing
the fastest car you were ever in that you had fun driving?
I've always been a Porsche enthusiast since I
All
was a
right.
kid, and I was fortunate to have the opportunity to purchase a 2016 GT3 RS, a 911 GT3 RS from a local customer, and we ended up selling that vehicle. We took it in and reconditioned it and sold it, but that was still a very memorable drive. I've driven Lamborghinis, Ferraris, all kinds of fun stuff, but as a Porsche enthusiast, the GT cars and the RS cars specifically are as good as it get, and that sound when you rev it out to $9,000 it's really tough to beat. It's a great thing.
Too damn cool. Also,
Yeah.
journalism. Did you write for Ford once?
I wrote for a website called Ford Authority, and it was specific to all things Ford. I also wrote for the Boston Globe. I had an internship with the Boston Globe, so I was writing for Boston.com. They have a car specific section, cars, Boston cars, and I was able to do some things with them as well.
So my reasoning to say all of this is you had this great journalism degree, was an author, wrote things, played around with fast cars, and think about it. You're with Hunter Engineering and you're selling equipment. You're a consultant, if you will, for equipment. I find your career path fascinating. What brought you to Hunter?
What's funny, in Buffalo being such a small community and everyone knows everyone and things like that, from when I was 13 mowing lawns, 15, 16 getting into working at restaurants and things, I always had some sort of connection, whether it was a personal referral or a family friend or whoever, to all of the different jobs I've had throughout my life. And for whatever reason, I found Hunter just on my own naturally. I didn't have any referrals, didn't have any previous connections. But to your point, all of the things that I had done leading up to Hunter kind of all made sense for what I do on a day-to-day basis with Hunter. And
it prepped you.
It really did. And, I saw the position title of business consultant, and, it's like, well, you're just a sales guy. But really, it's a lot more than that, because a lot of times, and I've had this happen many times in my short term with Hunter, I'll have clients call me and say, hey, I'm looking for this, and give me a part number. And I say, well, why that? And a lot of times they're thrown off and they say, what do you mean why? That's what I want. It's my job in a smooth of a way as possible to say, it's in my opinion or my experience and what I've seen in the field that I don't necessarily think that would be the best product for you, but I do think that product A or product B or product C would actually be more beneficial to you and your shop for what you're working on. And that's part of that consulting role and what we try and do. So
I'm a big believer in exactly what you just talked about, is that salespeople, or in your particular case, being a business consultant, should not be selling anything, parts, equipment, or anything. You should be selling or consulting with information, knowing enough about their business and how it runs and how they make money and where they're marketing, and they're providing the right ultimate repair with the right equipment, and you've seen that. So I'm a believer in what you just said, that all of this training that got you where you are today probably going to make you a pretty damn successful guy.
I hope so. It's been very challenging. Without a doubt, it's been the most challenging position I've ever been in up to this point, but at the same time, the most rewarding. And, a little bit of kind of, how the sausage is made or behind the scenes or whatever you want to say. Mm-hmm. I am a representative for Hunter. So I am a independent contractor, 1099, whatever you want to call it. So this truly is, me. This is my business. And there's a lot of challenges with that. And so I always try to relate to the small business owners that I'm communicating with and working with, in the sense of like, hey, we're in this together. I'm right there with you. I got quarterly taxes due. I got to pay my health insurance. I got to do all those things. And not saying that in any sort of, woe is me, but more of, hey, this is a really big challenge every day. but it is also extremely rewarding. So I've been very fortunate.
I get that. It makes so much sense. And I think it brings you closer to the entrepreneurial, the business side of who your client is. Any final words? I just love this. I think you, in a really tight little episode here, you've brought us a lot of great information. Anything final you want to say?
My cell phone's on the website. You can find me, text me, call me, email me, whatever I can do to help. I would really love to help you in your business if you're listening to this. Grew up here from Buffalo, love it here. This time of year, it's getting a little chilly, but hey, we're here, and, I really do believe in the equipment, but it's also, really fun to be able to go in to different shops on any given day, and every day is different for me. So to be able to, go in and try and help people out as much as I can, that's really the goal. So if I can help you or anybody that I would love to do that. And that's what I got. So.
I love your story about being in Harbor Freight and, hearing someone. I mean, those are opportunities, and it doesn't matter if you're selling equipment or you're fixing someone's vehicle, or you're a baker and you make the best bread in the world and somebody's complaining about bread. You got to be out there and you got to be seen. And I love that part of the story. Austin Rexinger from Hunter Engineering, a business consultant here in Buffalo, New York. Thanks for your insights on equipment. Appreciate it.
No problem, Carm. Appreciate you having me, and hopefully we can do this again sometime.
Thanks, man.